Cunard is a divisive brand. Some call it elegant, some call it stuffy. Some say it's posh, others call it pretentious. Times are changing and so are the queens. Are you too common for Cunard? If you've watched my videos before, then you might already know how I feel about Cunard and its image, but if not, well, you're about to learn as we deep dive into Cunard culture. Let's not beat around the bush. Cunard is not a high-end or premium cruise line. It sits in the lower middle section of mainstream, mid-market line. Right now it's actually starting to flirt with being yesteryear budget. Room service burger, madam. Yeah, that'll be $3. It is traditional, yes, maybe to the point of being old-fashioned. But fancy, it ain't. If you've travelled with Cunard, or even stopped by the Cunard forum on Cruise Critic, then you'll be well aware that there's a vocal section of the guest list who are exactly like Hyacinth Bouquet. They're forever talking about etiquette and using words and references they don't really understand. They pretend to be distant relations of the royal family, they drop in mentions of boarding schools, make out that they're infinitely wealthy and throw around the phrase butlins at sea whenever another line is mentioned. They wrongly believe that Cunard is high-end and that by booking an obstructed view window cabin, that they are fancy too. Hyacinth and her buddies have completely mistaken what Cunard offers. Don't believe me? Take a look through the formal night threads on Cruise Critic, where you'll see hundreds of Hyacinths recommending Matalan or Next or M&S, where a dinner suit can be had for £99 or less. Gosh, that is fancy. I'm a 42-year-old white man, so fashion is far from my thing. But my nephews will spend more than that on a hoodie, and they're still at school. Speaking of school, I did go to a boarding school, and I don't wear £99 dinner suits. I've recently returned from trips on P&O Arcadia and Cunard's QM2. I had similar cabins on each. On Arcadia, I only ate included dining because the speciality was fully booked. On QM2, I ate in 2 different specialty dining rooms and I paid extra for caviar and lobster tail. Separately, I'm not an animal. That added £100 to the bill. And even including that, Arcadia, the budget-conscious value brand, was £60 per night more expensive than fancy Queen Mary 2. Maybe it's P&O passengers who should be throwing around the phrase butlins at sea. I don't have any passionate feelings one way or another when it comes to formal nights on ships. I do think that you should wear the dress of the day. Mainly, if the daily schedule says smart casual, that's how I dress. If it says smart, I dress smart. And when it says black tie, well, by golly, I wear black tie. I'm not immune to ignoring the dress code of the day. Not entirely, anyway. Recently, it looked like Cunard were killing off Gala theme nights, but sadly not. So when the dress of the day is Roaring Twenties or Masquerade, I still just wear normal black tie. Pensioners bobbing around in the ocean in fancy dress is just a bit... I don't want to say pathetic, but... well, what other word is there? These people are old enough to know better, yet still think Roaring Twenties means Peaky Blinders fancy dress. They think their chubby old liver spotty bodies are super sexy if they wear a mask with feathers sticking out. Although, thinking about it, a lot of these people do look better when you can't see their face. Dress codes don't dictate posh or common. If the £99 dinner suit thing doesn't convince you, take a look at the dress code on actual high-end ships like Viking or Oceania or Regent. Ah, but Cunard is famous for its ballroom dancing. It is, yeah. Working men's clubs and social clubs up and down the land have got regular tea dances. What's your point? An afternoon tea? We all arrive an hour before it starts in the Queen's room and clap politely as the waiting staff line up like soldiers holding teapots instead of rifles. It's quite a ceremony and one that I enjoy. When I'm on a Cunard ship, it's a pretty certain bet where you'll find me at 3:30. But Afternoon tea is sandwiches and cake. Whatever way you look at it, builders and taxi drivers take that to work with them in an old biscuit tin. Is that really posh? The other dining options? Well, quite a range, and all decent. Fair enough, Queen's Grill dining is pretty high-end, and Princess Grill is like a good restaurant on land. But all the grill's passengers combined is only 10 to 15% of the entire guest list. Hyacinths and her buddies are entrenched in the Golden Lion by 11 AM to make sure they don't miss out on fish and chips or a pie. And you want to see the scenes when sticky toffee pudding runs out. I can't imagine Princess Diana elbowing her way through King's Court for a slice of pizza or queuing up at the chef's galley for a hot dog, can you? On my most recent Cunard trip, there was a real mixture of entertainment options. There was a harpist and a strings trio and watercolour classes and ballroom dancing. Fancy. There was also a hack end of the beer comedian, Bridget Jones, pub quizzes, karaoke, and an audience with Dorian from Birds of a Feather. Not quite so fancy. I watched the strings trio in the theatre and it was 10% full. I also went to an audience with Dorian. There was standing room only. As it turns out, nothing scatters an audience quicker than a harpist. But you try getting a seat in the Golden Lion when it's time for karaoke. Now this next bit isn't really a question of posh versus common, but I like to moan about it whenever I can, and well, this is my video. There's a daily queue at the purser's desk to remove gratuities. This is basically stealing from the crew. If you booked a ship that charges gratuities on top of the fare, then that's just part of the fare that's due on board. Being cheap just because you can, well, Hyacinth, that's just not sophisticated now, is it? There are probably more ways to prove the point, but I think you get what I'm saying by now. Traditional, yes. High-end or fancy, hell no. Don't agree? Tell me why in the comments and I'll tell you why you're wrong. If you want to know what it's like on board QM2, take a look at my full review. Are you too common for Cunard? Done. Another cruise tube, same time next week.